Hey everyone, welcome to this deep dive. We're really excited to have you with us today, especially our awesome customers at Cloud Solutions Consulting.
Yeah, hello everyone.
So, one of the things we always want to make sure we're doing is kind of focusing on what you folks need, specifically as small and mid-sized business owners and nonprofit leaders. And one of the things that kept coming up over and over again is this whole password management thing. It's a huge headache, right? That's a big deal.
It is.
So we thought, you know what, let's really do a deep dive into this, especially from the point of view of a really interesting guide that we found on password policies.
Wow.
And the goal today is to kind of really cut through the noise, get rid of all that technical jargon and really highlight what matters most for you guys, especially in terms of staying secure without feeling totally overwhelmed.
Yeah. I mean, we want to make sure you feel empowered, and in control of your security.
Exactly.
So before we get into the nuts and bolts of strong passwords and, how to make all that happen, we want to talk about a really valuable tool, and that's password managers.
Oh yeah, password managers. We hear that term tossed around a lot, but what exactly is a password manager? How does it actually help in practical everyday terms for someone running a business or a nonprofit?
Well, I'm glad you asked. I think it's really helpful to understand that we're going to be drawing a lot of insights today from this great guide we mentioned. It's actually developed by the Center for Internet Security.
Ah, CIS. I've seen that name pop up a lot in my reading on cybersecurity. But
Hmm.
can you give us a little bit of background on who they are? Like what makes them such a trusted source?
Yeah, totally. So CIS is a nonprofit organization, and they're totally independent. But what's really cool is they're a trusted cybersecurity partner for tons of organizations worldwide.
Oh, wow. So it's not just one company pushing their own agenda.
No, not at all. They gather this huge amount of expertise from cybersecurity professionals, like
Yeah.
from all over the place and from all different kinds of industries.
Right.
And they take all that and they use it to create these best practices and recommendations. Really solid advice to help organizations like yours improve your cyber defenses, no matter how big or small you are.
So it's kind of like they're a clearinghouse for the best knowledge out there. Like they've done the research, they've talked to the experts,
Yeah, exactly.
so we can trust that their recommendations are sound.
Definitely. And their guide on password policies it's really useful. It actually highlights password managers
Yeah.
as one of the best ways to up your password security game.
Okay.
Now, multi-factor authentication, or
Right.
MFA, that's still like the gold standard for protecting individual accounts.
All right. Good.
But password managers, they come in as like a close second, a really strong backup, especially when you have to juggle tons of different online accounts, which, let's face it, most organizations do these days.
Yeah, that's a good point. Thinking about our customers, many of them are small businesses, nonprofits, so they might not have huge IT departments or tons of resources to, manage these complex security systems.
Exactly.
So having something that's practical, that's user friendly, and still effective is really, really important.
Exactly.
So a password manager is kind of that middle ground, but I still feel like we need to demystify this a little bit.
Okay.
Like, what does a password manager actually do?
Okay, so imagine this, right? You have this super secure digital vault.
Okay.
And in that vault, you keep all your login information, your usernames, and of course, those all-important, strong, unique passwords.
Right.
And to get into this vault, there's one master password, just one. And
One.
you want to make this password super strong, like Fort Knox level strong.
Okay, so it's like instead of having to protect, 20, 30, 50 different doors, you're just protecting one really strong door.
You got it. And for even more security, that gold standard we talked about, MFA,
Right, right.
you can even use that to protect that master password, like double lock that vault,
Oh, wow. So it's like a vault within a vault.
pretty much.
Okay, that's a good analogy.
Yeah.
So thinking about, our listeners, they're busy running their businesses, their nonprofits. They're probably juggling, I don't know, dozens of online accounts like banking, email, all these different software tools they're using.
Yeah.
How does a password manager specifically practically help them in that scenario?
Okay, so one of the most immediate wins you get with a password manager is it makes creating and storing those super strong, unique passwords for each account, it makes it a breeze.
Okay.
Like super straightforward. And here's why that's so crucial. The CIS guide, they're really clear on this. Reusing passwords across different systems, that's a huge no-no.
Right. Yeah, we've all heard that before, but why is it so dangerous?
Well, think about it. You use the same password for, say, your bank account and some online shopping site.
Mm-hmm.
And let's say that shopping site gets hacked.
Oh, no.
Well, now the bad guys have your password. And guess what? They're going to try it on your bank account too.
Makes sense.
But if you use a password manager, each account has a completely different, super complex password.
Okay.
So even if one gets compromised, the others are still safe.
So it's like having separate unbreakable locks on each door rather than just one flimsy lock that someone can pick and then get into all the rooms.
Perfect analogy.
Okay. I'm starting to get the picture here. But let's be honest, right? Most of us, we're not security experts. We're not, cryptography whizzes.
Right.
And when we try to come up with our own passwords, we tend to pick things that are, well, easy to remember,
Yeah.
which often means they're also easy to guess or crack.
You're not wrong. And that's actually a big point in the CIS guide. They're realistic about it. It's just not practical to expect everyone to create these like super complex, super long, super random passwords and then somehow remember them all.
Right.
Our brains just aren't wired that way. We naturally gravitate toward things that are easy to recall. But unfortunately, those passwords, they often don't stand a chance against, the tools and techniques that cybercriminals are using these days.
Right.
So this is where a password manager steps in and kind of takes the wheel
Okay.
because it can generate these really random, really lengthy passwords with letters, numbers, symbols, but the works.
Uh-huh.
And they're so complex, you'd never be able to remember them on your own.
Right.
But for a computer, it's no problem.
Right.
And it makes them way more secure against attacks.
So it's kind of like the password manager is doing the heavy lifting for us. It's creating those secure passwords that we as humans would struggle to create and remember on our own.
Exactly. It's like having a security expert on your team, but in software form.
I like that.
And there's more. Besides just creating strong passwords, a password manager can really simplify the whole login process.
Oh, okay. Tell me more about that.
A lot of password managers, they have these browser extensions. So, you go to a website, you're about to log in.
Yeah.
The extension automatically fills in your username and password for you.
Oh, wow. So no more frantically searching for that little sticky note
Exactly.
or digging through that spreadsheet where you've got all your passwords saved.
Exactly. It saves so much time, it eliminates so much frustration. And honestly, it helps with security too.
Really? How so?
Well, when people get frustrated with trying to remember passwords, they sometimes do things they shouldn't,
Like what?
like writing passwords down on sticky
Uh-huh.
notes
We've all seen that.
or keeping them in a plain text file on their computer. That's just asking for trouble.
Right.
But with a password manager, it's all right there, automatically filled in, so there's no need to resort to those risky workarounds.
That makes sense. So it's not just about convenience, it's actually helping to enforce good security practices.
Exactly.
Now, I do want to address something that I'm sure a lot of folks are thinking when they hear about password managers. And the CIS guide even touches on this. Like, what happens if someone gets hold of that master password,
Right.
that one password that unlocks the entire vault?
That's a valid concern, and it's important to think about. But here's the thing. If you pick a really strong, unique master password and you don't use it anywhere else, your password manager is still incredibly safe.
Okay.
It's about concentrating your efforts, making that one password as strong as it can possibly be.
So it's like instead of having, 50 weak links in a chain, you've got one super strong link
Right.
that's less likely to break.
And remember, you can add that extra layer of protection with MFA too. That makes it even tougher for anyone to get in, even if they somehow got a hold of your master password.
That's a good point. The extra security layer really adds a lot of peace of mind. Now, the CIS guide actually recommends something that I found a little surprising. They actually say it's okay to use the paste function when it comes to passwords,
Yeah.
which, I know some organizations actually forbid copying and pasting passwords
Right.
because they're worried about, security risks with the clipboard.
Yeah, that's a common worry.
Right.
But good password managers, they've already thought about that.
Okay.
A lot of them automatically clear the clipboard right after you paste the password. So it's not just sitting there, exposed.
Oh, okay.
And some even have these like super secure ways of entering your login information that completely bypass the clipboard. So there's no risk of it being intercepted at all.
So it's not just about the password manager itself, it's about the extra security features that it has built in.
Absolutely.
Okay, that's good to know. So if someone's listening to this and they're thinking, okay, this password manager thing sounds pretty good. I want to roll this out for my team. What kind of advice does the CIS guide give about actually implementing this in an organization?
So they recommend, for teams especially, it's really smart to choose a limited number of approved password managers,
Hmm.
ideally just one,
Okay.
like standardize across the organization. And there's some good reasons for that.
Yeah. What are they?
Well, for one, it makes it much easier to manage things like software updates,
Right.
making sure everyone's got the latest security patches.
Right, because those patches often fix vulnerabilities.
Exactly. And it also makes it simpler to keep track of any potential vulnerabilities that pop up in the software.
So it's kind of like centralizing your security, making sure everyone's on the same page, using the same tools.
Right.
It's kind of like that saying, a chain is only as strong as its weakest link.
Exactly.
You don't want to have, one person using a really outdated or insecure password manager.
Exactly. And there's actually another really cool benefit that the CIS guide mentions about password management.
Oh, is that?
They don't just remember your passwords. They remember your usernames too.
Oh, right. It's kind of a two-for-one deal.
Yeah. And the guide points out that creating these like really complicated, really unique usernames for different accounts, in addition to strong passwords, that makes it even harder for hackers.
Okay.
Because even if they get their hands on a set of login credentials, that username might only work on one specific system.
Oh, I see.
It won't be valid anywhere else.
Yeah.
So it makes that stolen information much less useful.
So it's like having a unique key for each door, but then also having a unique lock on each door.
Perfect analogy.
So it's kind of like double locking everything.
Exactly. And a password manager handles all of that for you. It remembers those unique usernames. It remembers those strong passwords. It's like having a personal assistant for your digital security.
I like that. So, as we kind of wrap things up here, I think it's safe to say that, a password manager is much more than just a place to store your passwords.
Definitely.
It's really a powerful tool for boosting security, especially for small businesses, nonprofits, anyone who's juggling multiple online services and handling sensitive data.
Yeah, and it really addresses those core password security challenges that the CIS guide highlights.
Right.
It helps you use strong, unique passwords without having to, memorize this crazy long list of random characters. It takes that burden off your shoulders.
Exactly. So, for everyone listening today, what's the big takeaway message you really want them to leave with?
I'd say seriously consider exploring password managers. They should be a key part of your overall cybersecurity strategy because it's a step that can really significantly reduce your risk of falling victim to all those, password-related cyber threats that are out there.
Right, because we know that a lot of cyber attacks, they exploit weak passwords, reused passwords.
Exactly.
So this is kind of like a fundamental building block
It really is.
of good cybersecurity.
Right.
Okay, so this has been a really interesting deep dive. I feel like I've learned a lot. I hope our listeners have too.
Yeah.
And we really want to thank the Center for Internet Security for putting together that guide.
Yeah, great guide.
And, as always, we at Cloud Solutions Consulting, we're here to support you. So if you have any more questions or you want to talk about how CSC can help you choose and implement a secure password manager, just reach out.
We're here to help.
We'd be happy to chat with you about it.
And just one final thought.
Oh, yeah. Go ahead.
Think about the peace of mind you'll have knowing your organization's information is secure. Those digital keys are protected, each one unique and virtually unbreakable.
Right.
All thanks to a well-chosen and properly implemented password manager. It's an investment worth making.
Absolutely. Okay. Well, on that note, thanks again for joining us for this deep dive.
Thanks, everyone.
We hope to see you next time.
See you.
Bye-bye.